My name is Joe Williford. I'm the Chief Building Inspector and Building Official for the City of Broken Arrow. I am also the manager over neighborhood engagement and inspections. So we handle code enforcement and building inspections and stuff of that nature. So,
Great.
There you go. So, if I can make this thing work. All right. So, the city currently has 4 code enforcement officers for the entire city. Code enforcement responds to complaints that's called in, comes in through the Action Center, emails, phone calls to the office. Our Broken Arrow app that's out. And then the code officers also are proactive by turning in stuff themselves. Right now we're running about 40% generated by the code officers, 60% generated through the complaint lines. And this is our code enforcement area map. We got it broke into 4 areas. Gary Arnold is our lead code enforcement officer, which is the supervisor. Then Valerie Holbrook, Calvin Scott, and Yona Givens, those are your code enforcement officers for the city. The little small yellow circle, that's where Gary Arnold, that's his area. He's a supervisor, so he ends up all over town anyway, but he patrols that area. So if you know what area it is, those would be your code officers. Out at our table, there's cards for all of these code officers out there. So at the community development table, you can go by and pick up one of those cards if you'd like. That we have a direct contact to the code officer in your neighborhood. All right, so the new cases, this is just a sample. In 2022, we worked 155 inoperable vehicle cases, 79 trash at curb too early, 432 trash, junk, and debris in people's yards, 127 vehicles parked in grass, weeds and trash, 1,035. That's weeds and trash, or weeds mainly, that's over 12 inches high. And RVs and trailers parked in front of the building line, which is parked in front of your house, 295. So, and our total cases for the year was 2,659. So.
What constitutes an inoperable vehicle?
Basically, it's sitting on flats, it's partially dismantled, wrecked, something like that.
Flats
do count, yes, because it's not operable. If it's sitting there for days on a flat, then we can send a letter to them, and if they don't fix it, then we end up tagging it. If they still don't do nothing with it, then we either give them a ticket or we tow their vehicle off. So, yes.
Is that only on the street? It can be that way in their driveway?
No, you can't have it. Code enforcement only handles what's on private property, so it would be parked in their driveway.
Oh.
You cannot have an inoperable vehicle parked on your property and just leave it there because it's an attractive nuisance and stuff of that nature. If it's in the street, then you would need to call the police department because they handle anything that's in the public streets. We handle anything on private property. So.
What's the RV or trailer in the building?
So in front of your house should typically sitting at the building line. Not always, but typically. You cannot have an RV or trailer parked in front of your house for longer than a 24-hour period within 7 days. The 7 days starts at midnight on Sunday and goes till 11:59 on Saturday. So within that, you could only park it there for up to 24 hours.
So if it's used daily, potentially, if someone has a trailer, then they hook it up and do their job and then bring it?
No, that's cumulative over that 7-day period, more than 24 hours. You can't you can't come and go.
I see.
It has to be stored behind the front of the house. So, all right.
Inoperable vehicles also on commercial property? Does that apply to a shopping center?
It could if it's parked in the parking lot and just left there.
Okay.
If it's an automobile repair shop, then no.
Okay.
All right, so these are most common nuisances: weeds and grass over 12 inches, inoperable, dismantled vehicles. trash, junk, and debris, stagnant swimming pools, property maintenance issues. Most common zoning code. We also enforce zoning code violations. So most common is yard parking, RVs and trailers in the driveway, failure to maintain fences along arterial streets. So if your property backs up to one of the main streets like Elm, Aspen, Olive, you're required to maintain that fence along that street. So we send out letters for that if the fences are falling down and stuff of that nature. And then signs and street right-of-ways, you see them, those little bitty signs, they stick up on all the corners and stuff like that. So we pull those. We have Keep Broken Arrow Beautiful has Adopt a Corner program that works with the city, and they have volunteers. They have a table out here. They're looking for volunteers right now, but they remove signs on the intersection themselves. Code officers remove all the other signs. So, but and we 4,026 signs we pulled out of the right-of-way in 2022. So when we have a big federal election, it's worse.
One more question about the inoperable vehicles.
Yes.
We have several people in our neighborhood, I say several, probably there's 3 or 4 homes in our neighborhood that I guess they think that it's okay. I've actually seen them push the cars because I know they're not operating, but they put a cover on the car in the driveway,
So,
and it just sits there.
so if that car's covered up, we can't physically see that car, we can't deem it inoperable. And we cannot make them show us that it's
They learned a
operable.
way to get around the law.
That's the way to get around it. You put a car cover over it, we can't say it's inoperable because we don't know.
But if you see a flat tire on it,
Then we can send them a letter for an inoperable vehicle. So, I mean, it's the same with, high grass and weeds, stagnant swimming pools. If it's behind a 6-foot privacy fence, we can't look over that fence. It's a constitutional right to your privacy. So unless I have a search warrant, I can't look over that fence. So
what if the fence was missing between 2 yards and you could?
if I can go in your yard and you give me permission to access your yard and I can see it from your yard without looking over the fence, then I can address it, yes. So if you live in a 2-story house and you give me written permission to enter your house and I can see it out of your 2nd-story window, I can address it. But, we get a lot of complaints, everything's hid behind wood fence, we can't touch it. We can send them a courtesy letter, but that's about all we can do. So, all right, how to file a complaint. So you can call the Broken Arrow Action Center. You can download the Action Center app, or you can call the Neighborhood Engagement Office, and we have an email you can also send an email to, which is neighborhoodengagement@brokenarrowok.gov. So, and then this is kind of the workflow after a complaint comes in. So for weeds and trash, if you call in a complaint, we send a courtesy letter out to the property owner that you're complaining on, tell them, hey, you may or may not have a violation, and it gives them 7 days to come in compliance. After the 7 days is up, if the complainant leaves their information, we call them to ask them, hey, did your neighbor take care of that? If they say no, then we send a code officer out there to look at it, and if they determine yes, it is a violation, then we send an official violation notice. For weeds and trash, we would post a notice to abate. It gives them 10 days. If they don't do it within the 10 days, then we have a private contractor that has a contract with the city that we send out there to clean it up or mow the property, and then we send them a bill. If they don't pay it, then we file a lien on their house. So from start to finish, to get someone's yard mowed, it could take up to 30 days. So
Is it true that the emergency vehicles, they have to be able to see your front door from the street, and if people have their shrubberies that overgrow?
So we recently added to our property maintenance code that says that what you're talking about has to be trimmed back. Okay, that's something new that we just added into our property maintenance code. We did that for the police department. But it just basically has to keep your door visible. But it doesn't mean you can't hide your whole front porch. They want to see what they're walking up to if they're having to walk up and respond to your house. So, and it also covers shrubbery underneath windows that's coming out of bedrooms for emergency escape, and it also covers being located next to a fire hydrant and stuff like that. So that you can find that amendments on our city website on our city codes. If you find the property maintenance in chapter 15, there's a section there for the property maintenance code. There's amendments in there, and that amendment will be in there. And so inoperable vehicles, they're a little bit different. We follow the same thing with the courtesy letter usually, because with 4 officers, you've seen the number of cases we have. If we don't have to physically go out and investigate every one of them, it helps. So if we send the courtesy letter, they don't comply, the officer will go out there and see that it's inoperable, they'll tag it, send a notice to the property owner, give them 5 days to come into compliance. At that time, we'll determine whether or not we want to write them a ticket, send them to the municipal court, or have the vehicle towed. So if they have it blocked in where we can't get to it, we write them a ticket. Because we can't pull one vehicle out of the way to get the other one. And then property maintenance is a little different. It covers, and it has to be really bad. I mean, it covers flaking paint, leaking roofs, all that stuff. We send them a notice. We typically give them 30 days to fix whatever the problem is. If they don't, we write them a ticket. That's pretty much it. That's our only recourse. But, we don't go after every little, just because somebody's got a little bit of flaky paint on their house, we're not going to send them a letter for that. It has to be pretty bad off.
I saw a house, I guess y'all must have had them clean it up. You can see through the fence, they had just piled so much junk in their backyard. You could see it from the road.
Is it clean now?
Oh yeah, this is like a year or 2 ago, but I assume y'all must have.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I didn't put the number up there, and I don't know it off the top of my head how many abatements we actually did in 2022. Most people, we get them to clean it up because they don't want the bill from us, because it's going to be more than what they're going to pay to get it done. So, like dilapidated houses, we have a hearing process for that if we want to tear it down. So if we go through that and it gets tore down, goes to court, and court judge signs off on it, our city crews tear those down. Okay, our city crews cost a lot more than a private contractor tearing it down. So they're better off getting it tore down themselves. And usually they will, because they know it's going to cost them a lot more if we do it.
Something that we hear a lot in our neighborhood is people that go out, we have a lot of walkers, and there's neighbors that continually park their cars every day across the sidewalks, and you have to walk out into the street and get back on the sidewalk.
The city stand on people being parked in their driveway that's blocking the sidewalk. They're legally parked in their driveway, okay? We understand that that sidewalk's supposed to continue through, but realistically, it can't be enforced. I mean, it just can't. I don't know how all of you guys are, but if you have a bunch of company over, you're not going to be able to help it. So we will go out, or we will send a letter if they're blocking enough of it that you have to walk in the street to get around their cars. But if you can still stay on their driveway apron and walk around their car, then we usually don't deal with it. Because it's unsafe if they make you go out into the street.
Right.
All right. Well, that's all my nice little slides. So I'll open it up for questions, and we'll just have some discussion until they tell me I'm out of time. Yes.
Okay, you've taken care of a problem on our street, but it's not taken care of.
Okay.
It was a car and it's a business and they parked their trailer and their massive truck in the dirt on the side of their house. They've torn, there's no grass there because it's about this deep ruts.
Okay.
They've torn it apart and we've complained to you guys, you've been out there and then they behave and then they don't.
That's the circle of code enforcement. They'll comply when we get on them, then
Again.
you'll have to complain again, yes. There's a code officer out here at our table, Valerie.
Yeah.
She can get that information from you and we'll send them another letter. But we have what we call repeat offenders, which we deal with on a regular basis. You know, kind of like the police department has people they deal with on a common basis, so do we. So, you know, the same people don't mow the yard every year. The same people junk up their yard every year. You know, same people have inoperable vehicles in their yards all the time. So yeah, but you've seen the size of our city. With 4 people, I can't patrol every neighborhood. You know, so, I mean, they do some patrols, but if you see a violation, call it in. You know, and we will work it and do what we can legally by law to make them do. So, if we write them a ticket and it's forwarded to court, it's out of our hands then. It's up to the judge. So.
Some of this information on your slides is out on your booth too, or, you know, like
No, it's not.
flow charts and whatever y'all do?
No, it's not, but we all have our cards out there. My card's on that table. If you would like a copy of those flow charts, I don't think I have them on the website, but I will be glad to email those to you. So,
Joe, one thing we are going to do, we are going to take this presentation and we will put it on the website. And so we'll take your PowerPoint and we'll edit that over it. So that flow chart will be available on
Okay.
the video as well.
there you go. See, I didn't know that.
Give us a couple of weeks and we'll get that done.
But if you just want a PDF copy of them, just shoot me an email and I'll be glad to send it to you. This presentation I have my own copy of it also, so I can send that to you if you want it. But any other questions? I still got 2 or 3 minutes, I think. Then if you don't get all your questions answered here, feel free to come out and see us. We're down at the end in this little hallway out here.